Morning, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're well as we bubble up for the new moon, which is happening in some part of the world today and will be happening in the UK tomorrow. I was waiting to hit record because there's a little one outside that's getting very vocal. I think it's a little girl. She seems to have a lot to say. And then I decided I'm just going to play into it. And what I'd like to do today is to triangulate now the arrival of the feminine and the masculine in this container as we prepare to move into what this pivot point is going to bring us, and to bring in the child. So I couldn't think of a more apt deck than the Spirit Animal Oracle or the Wee Beastie Oracle, because that can speak without any ego. And what's come through to speak on behalf of the child has again surprised me. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but you see, I'm keeping the container cards in a separate deck up there. And so we have the feminine coming in with sanctuary. So she's wanting to find that place within to come fully home to, and to find her unique expression, and also to connect into other aspects of her non-physical reality, her multi-dimensional self. And she wants to do that, so that she can feel more deeply into her truth and follow it, build an inner guidance system that's going to support her, like a sat-nav, if you like. It's going to support her to know when she's on and off her path, to know what feels true to her, to know where her boundaries and limitations are. And she can do that through the energy of divine patience. So that's the feminine container. And then in comes the masculine with this, amazing energy of I'm ready to listen. I'm doing my work. I stand in peace and ready to create. I've mastered my lower egoic expression, emotions, experience, and dropped into the feminine. And I'm presenting to you as an embodied masculine and feminine. So in my embodied fire. And I want to create, Ace of Fire. I want to create. And the spider's web is the connection to the collective, and the connection to the collective, as that starts to come in, is going to present us with all sorts of opportunities to connect to our soul tribes, and inherent within that will be the challenges of disparity and how do I celebrate your success and all of that stuff. And so what the masculine wants to achieve is to carry on learning, carry on connecting with his wise self, and to carry on dying to the old. It's like the Ouroboros energy. We keep digesting the past to birth the new, digest the past to birth the new, past rather. And his commitment, the masculine's commitment, is to keep dying to the old to rebirth the new. And he's holding in that, I think I showed you this yesterday, The light's not brilliant here, but there is a beautiful baby in this cosmic egg. So big picture, we're resurrecting the child. So then the system came in and told us that this was about remembrance, remembering who we are as loving multidimensional beings, the tantric journey, the coming together of the separated parts, the coming together and the integration of the masculine and the feminine. And also that, you know, and also that for me reflects the law of correspondence, which is the coming together of the internal and the external, the lower physical and the higher energetic frequencies, to bring all of those together. And connecting to not only the physical earth but the etheric earth, to build a blueprint, or pull the blueprints down from those higher vibrations, and to move back into universal love. That was the big picture that came through in the last few days, the last couple of days. So here we have the child, and well, see what you think, but this really surprises me. I thought this was going to come out a bit silly, a bit playful, but it's not, and I'm just going to bring it to you. So we have number 5, the number of change. We have bat spirit, a rebirth is assured. And I can see the child in this as a little being that hangs upside down to see the world through a different lens. And I can feel the hanged man energy of this card too, and the child very much like myself that would sit in class, and I would always try and get a seat near the window because I was a major gazer, and I would gaze out of the window for like the whole class. I wasn't really present, just hanging upside down, figuratively, and staring out of the window as my way to connect with nature and all that can't quite be seen. My little third eye was burning bright, as are most little third eyes, burning bright, looking at the world through a different lens. And I guess that's asking us to kind of think about, are there things we keep doing in the same way? Yeah, okay, it's that definition of insanity, isn't it? Insanity is when you keep doing the same thing but you expect a different outcome. So yeah, rebirth is assured. I can't see that there's any going back from this. It's coming together. It's coming together well. And then the little one wants to tell us or remind us that their magic works through us. And it's always our choice whether or not to connect with that magic. It's always our choice. I had an amazing conversation actually just about this yesterday, about a guy who works he works in the business world with executives, and he wants to bring playtime to that, you know, and and how is that met by suits? How is that viewed by suits? Who among you have attended business meetings and just craved being able to turn up in your tatty jeans and your ripped t-shirt, but you're there and you're all there, and you're not preoccupied with how you look or how you're going to be measured? You know, if a little one is allowed to dress themselves, it's going to be a crazy affair. Oh dear, I know if I was ever allowed to dress myself, to choose my own clothes, well, I'd have ditched my whole wardrobe to start with. I'd have thrown away all my shoes. I hated my shoes. I was made to wear sensible things. I'd have gone for something really, I'd probably have worn mummy shoes just like all the time. I'd have worn clippy cloppy heels, and brightly coloured, highly clashy, noisy clothes, playful clothes. I'd have worn butterfly wings and voile tutus, probably. So yeah, this card is really saying, but what's the difference now, Chrissy? What's the difference now, adults out there who are watching this? What's the difference now? Where does your little one get to play? Where does your little one work its magic through you? Because when we bring the child to situations, it can jar others who are maybe suited, who are in the safe container of, say, a corporate environment, safe container of a designer outfit, shoes, you know, the car. Doesn't mean they don't have that inside them. They definitely have that inside them. And their spirit just might want to get up and dance with you, but so it's got to shake us. Change has to shake. You know, I got to ask the question here, what am I looking at? If I've called in the child to finish the Trinity, okay, the original blueprint, the masculine, the feminine, and the child, the mother, the father, and the child. And this is how the child is speaking to us today. It's bringing wolf spirit. And wolf spirit is kind of, it's not only leadership. I was talking to somebody yesterday about, you know, this is the time when we're moving into self-managing leadership. And that's looking like, you know, I've spoken about the sacking of the people pleaser. It's looking like the end of codependency, or really rewiring that paradigm of where does interdependence, I kind of see it like this actually, sorry, let me digress. So this is two people. I see that as codependence, and that energy leans in until this is fully supporting. And interdependence, I see as two individuals who from time to time come together and lean on each other with equal pressure, where trust has to be built, because if one pulls away, the other falls over. So they are reliant upon one another. This is equality. This is reciprocity. This is what we're moving towards. This is balance. It's beautiful. One relies on the other. This is symbiosis. It's beautiful. One can't move without affecting the other. And that makes you highly aware, highly conscious of self and other. Okay. So, and a wolf does both. A wolf leads and a wolf can be in the pack. It has the makeup for both. Turn knowledge into wisdom. Wow. Yeah. What did you learn? How can you apply that in the world? That's how I see wisdom. What did I learn and how can I apply that in the world? Where is there a need for that to be known in the world? Wow. What did you learn in your abandonment of me? Wow. That's a message from the collective child to the collective adult. What did you learn in your abandonment of me? And when I asked that question, I apologize. I forgot to put my phone on. I don't even know where my phone is, sorry. And when I asked that question, my belly gave a little bloop. Okay, so it's in us. It's in us all. Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute. So 14. reduces to 5. Act as if, because the rebirth is assured. And what if somebody said to me last week that acting on an impulse, they did cartwheels. No reason. They just wanted to do a cartwheel, so they did a cartwheel. And I think that's gorgeous. Sometimes when I'm shopping with my daughter, we spontaneously skip for no reason. It changes your whole energetic field, and it's really good for the liver. It changes your whole energetic field. Try it if you just skip randomly. But what stops us skipping? Well, self-consciousness, embarrassment, vanity, ego, pride. Blah, 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 blah. How about joy? Does joy stop us? Don't think so. I don't think so at all. Act as if. It's like the child is teaching us. I feel like the child's coming back as a teacher. I always say when clients bring material that is around a child and their problem with what they perceive as a problem child, I always say it's the child that raises the adult. Because the child will show us everything we don't want to see in ourselves. So if we can surrender to that and make that noble, then we can grow. We can grow, really, really grow. My kids have been two of my best teachers. Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny actually, parenting, when you get bounced into parenting, you're handling this parenting manual that you haven't got. You could buy 30 books and put them all on a bookshelf and read every single one of them and learn bits and bobs, but inherent to the children that you've produced, you genuinely won't know the first thing to do, because that kid is unique to everybody's experience of a child who's written all the books that you put on the shelf. Your child will be nothing like that. So parents kind of walk in blind from day one. It's a very courageous thing to do when you think about it, when you break it down. We're learning from this child. This child has come in with wisdom. It's bringing the scarab and magic in, for goodness sake. On a 52, 52-7. I'll just get the word esoteric with that, but that's just such a magical card. It's about rebalancing in a different way. It's balancing in a different way to create change. It's that change driving different choices and creating this divergence. Yeah, wolf magic, act as if. And then what the kid wants us all to do is to come together. That's the number one. Okay, so that's the beginning, is to come together. It's time to collaborate. It's time to play nicely. That's what it is. It's time to play nicely, so we can no longer keep doing the boardroom drama. We can no longer keep doing that competitive stuff, which is born from insecurity. I was doing some research this morning for a course that I'm writing, and which will support this resurrection of the child. And it's so nice just to refresh my mental notes without having to dig out all my study books. But what came up was the word that came up this morning when I was tuning in was abandonment. And without knowing it, I've been speaking into the symptoms and effects within a relationship of abandonment. So See what you think, see what you feel about these. Some of the signs and symptoms of abandonment in adults might look like people pleasing, giving too much in relationships, an inability to trust others, pushing others away to avoid potential rejection, feeling insecure in intimate relationships, codependency, and settling for inadequate relationships lacking in reciprocity because one has moved into people pleasing. Okay. And as a parent, emotional abandonment can happen in many ways without there being, this tearing apart, the leaving of a parent. It can happen within an ongoing relationship where the parent stifles the child's emotional expression. I mean, look at the magic and the colour and the expression and the little cloudbursts of gems and jewels falling from this chameleon as it changes colour again and again and again. Because children kind of rebirth themselves minute to minute to minute. They're moving in the system minute to minute to minute. And if any of that got shut down as a kid, then you're going to feel some kind of way about that. And that's going to get challenged as we rebirth the little bat. Parents who ridicule their children. Again, the child will raise the adult. So what if the kid comes to the parent and says, Mummy, let's think of something very childlike. Mummy, I was talking to a butterfly and it told me that it's flown here from Africa. Don't be silly. That's a route. Another route is, wow, what else did it tell you? Let's sit down. Let's see if we can find it. Let's go play. Can we move into that energy? Don't be silly. And the don't be silly is the part of the adult that's never really expressed their magic. Where their magic, if their magic got shut down and they aren't working through this 5 change energy, then that's their raison d'etre. That is their MO and they're sticking to it, and that is ridiculous. Okay, there's a lot of that in the world. It's not new. It's not new. It's part of the kind of, the limiting of the creative being globally. Parents that hold their children to standards that are unachievable. Okay. So, this can really push the kid into, oh, the sun's just come out. This can push the kid into overachieving and, getting a fix from the results of overachieving. The praise and the recognition, no matter how short-lived or tenuous that praise and recognition might be, that's going to feed the child in some way, the young person. The child within the adult, because essentially we're talking about grown wounded children here. That's essentially what we're talking about. And we can get to the point that grown wounded child doesn't know when to stop and just keeps going and going and going, and one day ask themselves, what am I doing? I don't like this. I don't even like what I do. Okay, so here's a big one. Parents who rely too heavily on children for their own sense of worth. That might be a delicate way of describing narcissism, because it's a huge, huge structure on the planet, narcissism. And children of narcissistic parents struggle being not enough and too much, because a narcissistic parent will give you an existence gap of that wide to exist in. And if you're not as good as that, then you shame the parent. If you're better than that, then you shame the parent. So the parent needs to be able to talk about you in a way that makes them look good. So it's self-validation by proxy, by using the child. So the child grows up with no real sense of identity, because everything they've created in the world up to that point has been for the parent. And they may have been blind to that, because kids' number one priority is to survive. And a child will do anything to survive, even if that means lying to themselves, coming from a place that doesn't feel morally right, not in accordance with their inner north node, if you like, their inner truth, their true north. That's what I'm trying to say, their true north. I'm going to talk about moral injury, because that's going to be another heading that I will cover. Moral injury is almost a hidden pandemic. That thing I did for you that compromised my values and beliefs. I'm not going to do that today. So, rebirth is assured. Magic works through you all the time. Just have to engage with it. So if I ask you now, within your body, within your energetic being, if you think about yourself as a wee one, as a little playful one, does that pluck any chord in your body? Where can you feel your little one in your body? What did you learn as a child? What is still useful now? How can you turn that into wisdom in the world with the wolf spirit? Because part of having the spirit of a wolf is the ability to walk alone, is the ability to lead the pack. So when a wolf leads a pack, it kind of leads blind. It's much easier to lead from the back. You can see the pack. You lead from the front, the pack is behind you. So you have to trust the rear gunner to make sure the pack is safe, but you're still leading them. It's quite a responsible position. Being guided to delete the word responsible. It's part of what's got us into this mess, over responsibility, but it applies, but yeah. And the chameleon saying, act as if. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so what the chameleon's showing me is how we do this, depending on which collective we're in. So if I'm in a meeting within the corporate environment, then you won't see me looking like this. I'll align. If I'm running a workshop for soldiers, then I'm one of the blokes, you know. If I'm running a women's group, then that's a very different expression of me. It's super, super feminine expression of me. So we all chameleon, and I guess the question in there is, how true is my behavior in this moment? Because the inner squatty actually exists within me. There is definitely a part of me that likes to build fires, drink beer and talk shit around a campfire. There is definitely a part of me that's uber feminine. And there is definitely a part of me that can switch back into corporate, but that's not, it doesn't feel true to me. That is an adaptation of my natural self. So yeah, that's going to get challenged in us. Where are we faking it, and where are we standing in our truth? And in standing in our truth, are we prepared to defy the collective and create a ripple in the pond? Can we turn up to that meeting wearing jeans and a t-shirt, I guess, is what I'm asking. Can we ruin what seems like equilibrium within a collective because there's something radically new coming in and it's definitely going to upset the status quo? Or do we keep our mouth shut and do we swallow that down like we've been doing for thousands of years, just swallowing and adapting, swallowing, adapting. So yeah, I think it's safe to say the kid is in the house. And coming through as quite a wise little being. Maybe even less of the little, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So it might be playtime. I'll share a story with you actually. A couple of weeks ago, I made that fateful statement to the universe that my cup is full. Time to empty the cup. Oh, shit. You know, the only thing that's going to come out of that is challenge. Well, okay, I've got to step up to the plate now. And so I think it was last week I decided to take myself to some waterfalls I know near here. And well, near here, it's about a 90-minute drive. And so I drove out to the waterfalls and I suddenly started seeing closure notices like a mile away from them. And I parked the car up and I walked a little bit, and all the entrances and cut through. This is an ancient monument. So there's lots of little passing spaces in this beautiful dry stone wall. And I don't know about you, but if I can hear water, I have to be within a foot of it or in it. And I could hear the waterfalls. And it's like, I can't drive home. If I drive home, I will be totally disappointed. So I broke in. And I broke in and I had the whole waterfall to myself, which I've never experienced before. And I just noticed what was going on in my body. So part of me was elated to be able to get so close to this waterfall with no intrusion at all. And part of me was very self-conscious, very self-conscious. That's who's coming. So I enjoyed it for as long as I could. And then I climbed back over the wall and started walking back towards the car and bumped into two people, stopped to talk to them. And the woman turned out to be the owner of the car that I'd parked next to on a private drive. And she was on the board of trustees for this ancient monument. And and she was gorgeous. And we had this lovely chat. And it hadn't been closed down because of COVID. It had been closed down because of the lifting of restrictions and the over visiting of, well, badly behaved people, really, who have no respect for the countryside code. So, yeah, the few have ruined it for the many, but so be it. I still got what I wanted. But the point of the story is, I was driving home thinking, that used to be me. I used to be a very tomboy. I made it a habit of breaking into derelict buildings. It was my thing. I loved it. I used to get pulled out of trees by coppers because I was scrumping. Always wanting to do something kind of, that was more exciting than what was on offer, going into town or going to the park. No. I was a teenager that sought out challenge and danger and adventure and excitement. And I'm like, where did this part of me go to? Where did I become so tepid? So go back. I say, my cup is full, time to empty the cup. I'm in this big field of resurrection of the child, which started this January. And so what's coming alive in me, with no apology, is actually my teenage self, my fire, my fire. Yeah, and she takes some handling. She really takes some handling, but it's time for her now. So out she comes. That's mad. Where are those child cards? You see the wolf? I know I haven't fully got the meaning of this child card reading. Why is this child coming through so old and wise? It'll come. It'll come. It'll come. The spirit that's come through in these cards feels much older than a child. Okay. So, are we done? I think we're done. I think we're done. I'm going to leave it there for today. And happy new moon. I know certainly I'm currently in a small collective of people who went into deep process. Definitely some shaky energies around. As the deeper we move into joy and light, the more gets pulled up, whether we're working in the collective or in the personal. Allow the challenge, sit in love with the small parts of you that are now coming out to play. Be deeply compassionate, you know, as if you were caring for your best mate's kid. Yeah, deeply, deeply compassionate. Okay, lots of love, and I'll see you again soon. Ta-ta.